Do you feel drained when you chase approval and still feel unseen? What happens when your calm refusal makes people respect you without words? Will you stop pleasing and start radiating a quiet boundary that bends minds? The real trap is simple. You try to be liked. You lose power. The manipulator hunts this need because approval hunger opens doors you never guard. Liking feels warm, but respect creates distance that protects your inner control. Approval is sugary, respect is dense. Manipulators cannot digest dense boundaries for long. The goal is not coldness. The goal is calibrated warmth with firm edges. You will see how edges are drawn without anger, noise, or displays. Manipulators watch your eyes after small requests. They measure how badly you need approval. They give tiny treats, then pause, then treat again, training your nervous system quietly. This pattern is intermittent reinforcement. It creates chasing. It erases patient thinking. When you chase, your body leans forward, your voice softens, your judgments blur. They mirror your values just enough, then withdraw warmth until you perform again. Each withdrawal plants insecurity. Your mind repeats loops. You work for crumbs willingly. Respect begins when crumbs lose taste and you prefer quiet hunger over cheap sugar. That shift confuses the manipulator because your baseline stops following their schedule. The first lever is approval thirst. The second lever is guilt induction through silence. They do not accuse you. They slow blink. They exhale. They let you fill space. Your nervous system hates open loops. You rush to repair what is not broken. The cure is a new reflex. Allow silence. Keep breathing. Label feelings internally. Say inside your mind, pressure present, guilt rising. Pause now. Choose response after settling. This internal narration sounds mechanical, yet it reclaims reaction time stolen by conditioning. Respect grows from delayed reactions, like a doorway that never swings open too fast. Influence lives inside timing, not volume, not words, not even logic alone. When you delay, you create space, and space forces others to self-regulate. Manipulators dislike self-regulation. They prefer remote control. They prefer reflex over reflection. Your pause breaks the remote. Their buttons stop working. They try pressing harder. Pressing harder reveals their game, and their game wilts under neutral daylight. The third lever is confusion through contradiction, praise with a thread of doubt. You hear gentle approval, then a subtle question that destabilizes your certainty. You explain simple choices. You justify basics. You rehearse your worth. This rehearsal drains clarity, and drained clarity becomes compliance, soft and invisible. Respect thrives on earned clarity, not endless justification, not over-explaining simple boundaries. Adopt a short standard, say messages once, invite questions later, move the topic. Repetition is training you do for them while they train your nervous system. You stop repetition. You stop training them to expect your energy on demand. The fourth lever is pressure disguised as kindness, helpful favors that create mental debt. You did not ask, yet now you feel obligated to satisfy hidden terms. The terms appear later, small at first, then growing until compliance feels inevitable. Respect requires clean exchanges. Request clarity before receiving. Decline unclear gifts with gratitude. A simple line saves power. Thank you. I will let you know if needed. That line respects genuine help and blocks hooks, because hooks need fast acceptance. The fifth lever is social witness. They manipulate through an imagined audience inside your mind. They hint that people watch. They hint that your refusal appears cruel or ungrateful. You start performing to protect an image no one actually requested from you. Respect ignores imaginary crowds because integrity scales privately before it scales publicly. Practice invisible standards. Do the right thing quietly, then forget who noticed. Manipulators starve when your ethics stop needing spectators, because their crowd magic collapses. To awaken respect, you must install a new internal metric for success. Instead of being liked, track whether your boundary was delivered short and calm. Short and calm means fewer words, steady breath, direct statement, no defensive decorations. Defensive decorations are extra sentences sprinkled to soothe imaginary judges in your mind. Each extra sentence teaches them that pressure works and that your line is movable. Concision communicates conviction, and conviction reduces negotiation space without any visible conflict. Next, understand the physics of attention, because attention is emotional currency and leverage. The manipulator spends attention strategically, then rations it to produce chasing behavior. You will reverse the equation by allocating attention like a disciplined investor. Invest where standards are respected. Divest where pressure replaces honest communication. Announce priorities through behavior, not speeches, not warnings, not moral lectures. Consistency teaches faster than explanations, and silence teaches faster than long arguments. Build a clear yes, a clear maybe, and a clear no. The clear yes contains conditions, timeframes, energy limits, and exit options. The clear maybe is a review state, not a soft yes in disguise. The clear no is respectful, brief, and repeated only once if challenged. Repeating no's creates games. Steady repetition invites contests. Contests breed manipulation. One no, one redirection. Then remove attention. And your boundary learns to breathe. Watch how they test holds on your schedule, your sleep, your focus windows. They ask small favors during your prime hours, then call it sudden urgency. The goal is to shift your center, moving your rhythm into their orbit. Respect means protecting rhythm, because rhythm stabilizes judgment, and stabilized judgment resists manipulation. Book your peak hours for deep tasks. Guard them as sacred without drama. People learn your calendar through your behavior, not through shared files or explanations. They may escalate to moral narratives, claiming that strong boundaries mean selfishness. This is classic reversal, using your values against you with selective framing. Respond by separating care from compliance, because care exists without meeting every request. Say less often, I care, and I am not available for this. The first clause protects relationship. The second clause protects self-respect and focus. Over time, the separation trains others that love and compliance are not synonyms. Notice micro-bargains that echo in small phrases. Just this once. Trust me. Each micro-bargain sneaks under your radar because the cost seems minor. 10 minor costs stack into exhaustion, and exhausted minds accept major costs quietly. Respect audits accumulation, not headlines, because the slow leak breaks the strongest structures. Track energy like money. Review where requests drain. Review where conversations replenish. Reallocate attention based on returns, not drama, not guilt, not fantasy promises. Refuse vague tasks that move forever, because vagueness is the manipulator playground. Ask for criteria, ask for scope, ask for checkpoints, then decide calmly. Vagueness hates clarity. Clarity ends the fog that hides constant boundary shifts. If they accuse you of rigidity, remember, clarity is kindness for both sides. Respect grows when projects and promises have measurable edges you can actually defend. Soft edges invite pressure. Hard edges invite accountability. Choose accountability and reclaim breath. Learn the posture of neutral presence. Shoulders loose, jaw relaxed, breathing slow and low. The body broadcasts status, and manipulators listen with predator sensitivity to micro-signals. Fast breath says fear, tight jaw says resentment, collapsed chest says surrender. Train a relaxed baseline because calm bodies heat slower and slow heat enables choice. Choice is the only real power in influence games, and choice needs time. Time appears when your body refuses panic speed, and panic speed is programmable. They will use scarcity narratives. This chance disappears if you pause or question. Scarcity shuts down analysis, because urgency steals oxygen from deliberate thought patterns. Respect answers scarcity with a rule. Nothing urgent bypasses clarity or consent. Repeat the rule inside your mind until it becomes reflex under stress. The moment you feel rush, declare a micro-pause, even a few breaths. Those breaths restore internal ownership, and ownership kills invisible contracts made under pressure. There is a silent hierarchy between likability and respect, and it follows energy. When you pour energy to be liked, you place yourself beneath subtle judgment. When you anchor standards first, you signal equality, sometimes even quiet leadership. Leadership here is not title, it is self-governance that others can sense. People read your relationship with yourself before they read your arguments about anything. If your self-respect is stable, their favorite tools feel strangely dull on contact. Expect pushback when you shift, because systems fight to keep old patterns alive. They might label your clarity as cold, distant, or controlling without evidence. Remain precise, maintain warmth, refuse negotiation over your right to decide. Rights are not aggression. Rights are boundaries that keep both sides honest. If someone needs your confusion to feel secure, your clarity will threaten them. Better to reveal truths early than suffer slow erosion under polite terms. Your language needs surgical simplicity. I am available. I am not available. Avoid because stories unless asked, because stories can become ammunition against you. When asked for reasons, offer small slices, not full meals. Keep privacy intact. Mystery is not manipulation. Mystery is oxygen needed for individual dignity and safety. Manipulators demand full access, because total access prevents you from thinking without surveillance. Guard small spaces of thought, so your conclusions arrive without external fingerprints. Another pattern is false compromise. You keep half your boundary, they gain half control. Halves repeat until your original line disappears beneath friendly agreements and tired smiles. Real compromise protects principles while adjusting tactics. It does not trade away integrity. Write your principle in one line, defend that line, adjust only logistics. Principles hold the building, logistics move furniture. Never confuse walls with chairs. The moment walls move, nothing remains to respect, only a stage for pressure. Build a cadence of micro-acknowledgments for honest people. Reward directness consistently. Your nervous system will relax around honesty, and tension will expose manipulation faster. Tension is data, not failure. Your body announces misalignment before your words do. Listen without drama, then act, then move forward. Do not argue with signals. Arguing with signals exhausts intuition, and exhausted intuition cannot warn you in time. Treat inner alarms like valuable friends. Thank them, then verify with calm questions. When guilt appears, separate action from identity. You refused a request, not humanity. People with honest intentions adapt after hearing a clear line delivered kindly. People with manipulative intentions escalate after hearing the same line, sometimes immediately. Escalation reveals aim. It saves you months of blurred expectations and confused duties. Respect is a filter, not a weapon. It organizes your social world. Organized worlds make you generous again, because overflow returns when leaks are sealed. You may fear loneliness if you stop pleasing reflexively. That fear is trained. Trained fears dissolve when your life fills with aligned commitments and honest exchanges. There is a valley between old habits and new respect. It feels empty. Walk that valley with rituals, morning reviews, breathing drills, and quiet check-ins. Rituals stabilize identity while your environment adjusts to your stronger baseline presence. Soon the right people find resonance, and silent manipulation loses strategic advantage. The last mastery in this opening is consequence delivery without anger or drama. Consequences are not revenge. Consequences are structures that protect reality from repeated harm. State the expectation, state the next step. If ignored, then follow the step. No storytelling, no warnings repeated, no emotional weather reports, only the agreed structure. People learn through outcomes, not speeches, and outcomes delivered calmly build lasting respect. Respect earned this way survives storms, because storms cannot negotiate with consistent gravity. You now see the skeleton of control and the engine of dignity. Your task tonight is simple. Review your smallest boundary and tighten the hinge. Bring your breath, bring your silence, bring your one line, then watch reactions. Do patterns soften or harden when approval hunger fades and timing becomes deliberate? Who gains energy when you pause, and who withers when you refuse performance? Are you ready to test a deeper lever that turns guilt into quiet authority? Do you know why guilt feels heavier when you start saying no? What if the real manipulator is not outside but already trained inside you? Can you see how invisible rules control you long before anyone else tries to? The need to be liked becomes a silent contract signed by your nervous system. Every compliment, every small nod builds a code that says, "Please keep me safe." Manipulators read this code like seasoned hackers reading old software. They do not break you directly. They rewrite settings inside your mind. The first setting they alter is emotional access, deciding when you feel accepted. They create false scarcity, giving you approval only when it serves their goal. Your brain learns to link peace with obedience and chaos with resistance. Once linked, they no longer need words. Your reactions obey trained circuits. Respect cannot grow where circuits obey panic instead of principle. Your task is to rewrite these circuits one pause at a time. Start with the small reactions, the subtle yes that follows pressure. Every time you feel an urge to please, breathe twice before responding. Those 2 breaths expose the hidden tension you normally skip over. The pause is your new firewall, slowing the invisible code before execution. Most manipulation succeeds not through power, but through speed. Whoever moves first controls direction. Whoever pauses controls meaning. Pausing rewires your inner pace, teaching your mind that peace can exist inside refusal. The calm resistance is the birthplace of respect, both self and external. Watch how people use emotional timing to control atmosphere. They enter with sighs, half smiles, soft voices, or exaggerated silence. Each tone is a signal meant to shift your mood before logic engages. Emotions are faster than thought, and manipulators use that velocity as weapon. When you mirror their tone unconsciously, you surrender rhythm of conversation. Control returns when you match content, not emotion. Listen to words, ignore performance, reply in steady tone. Consistency breaks emotional rhythm that sustains influence over your state. This is not coldness. It is emotional calibration, the foundation of steady authority. Respect amplifies where emotions follow understanding instead of impulse. The second internal hack they use is guilt through identity confusion. They praise you for kindness, then use that label as a leash. You start proving kindness by overgiving, by saying yes against balance. The more you prove, the less they value it, because proof feeds their control. Real kindness needs no defense, it breathes within limits. You must redefine kindness as measured energy, not endless sacrifice. Every strong manipulator knows the exact words that make you prove your nature. They say, "I thought you were caring, I thought you were reliable." You hear threat beneath flattery and panic to protect image. But your image is not your integrity, it is just bait dressed as praise. The cure is separation between label and action. Being kind does not require pleasing everyone. Being respectful does not mean agreeing. Your internal narrative must shift from proving to choosing. Each time you feel accused, answer in choice language, not defense language. Say, "This choice feels right for me now," instead of, "I am not unkind." Defense language binds you, choice language frees you. When you stop defending, manipulators lose the mirror they used to direct your behavior. Without the mirror, they stare at their own reflection, and silence becomes your protection. Observe also the economy of attention in your social world. Every interaction trades focus, but not every trade is balanced. Manipulators make deposits of drama and withdraw empathy on demand. You become their emotional bank, funding their stability at cost of your peace. The respect path requires auditing this economy. Ask quietly after each exchange, "Do I feel clear or drained?" Clarity means mutual exchange. Drainage means one-way transfer disguised as care. Withdraw your energy slowly, consistently, without explanation or resentment. Attention withdrawal is stronger than confrontation because silence removes fuel. The manipulator seeks reaction, not resolution. So absence destroys the stage. Notice also the praise trap after conflict. They first shake your confidence, then rebuild it with exaggerated validation. This loop of breaking and healing trains dependency faster than open aggression. You start associating chaos with safety because calm feels empty after highs and lows. This is emotional conditioning masked as bonding. Respect demands stability, not adrenaline. Remind yourself, peace is not boredom. Peace is the real baseline. You must let quiet feel normal again, even when it feels flat at first. The mind addicted to drama must detox before it recognizes balance as strength. During detox, loneliness appears, but that loneliness is withdrawal, not truth. The next lever is intellectual superiority disguised as mentorship. Some manipulators teach endlessly to maintain dominance through complexity. They flood you with abstract logic until you doubt your own simple clarity. You nod, afraid to look uninformed, and soon your opinions evaporate. This pattern kills self-trust faster than any insult could. Respect grows when simplicity reclaims ground from complexity. Use small questions like blades. What does that mean exactly? How will that help now? Each question returns focus to evidence instead of charisma. The manipulator thrives on abstraction because abstraction hides control. Facts bring sunlight, and sunlight ends illusions built on clever fog. You will meet guilt again when you set limits. Expect its many disguises. Sometimes it comes as sadness, sometimes as quiet withdrawal, sometimes as humor. Do not chase emotional harmony, chase internal alignment. Alignment means your actions match values even when moods shift around you. Guilt loses oxygen when you stop buying temporary peace with long-term regret. Long-term regret is how emotional parasites feed quietly for years. They depend on your discomfort tolerance being too low to face short-term tension. Raise tolerance, breathe through disapproval, let silence last longer than before. Disapproval cannot kill you, but constant approval can erase you slowly. Approval is comfort food for insecurity. Respect is clean water for strength. As you detach from needing to be liked, new manipulation tactics appear. Some will use confusion, others use over-explanation to drown your instincts. Remember, intuition is data compressed by time, not guesswork. When logic and instinct disagree, check for emotional distortion caused by pressure. If urgency exists, delay. If flattery exists, verify. If guilt exists, pause. These three markers identify manipulation 90% of the time. Your awareness of patterns reduces their effectiveness even before action changes. Awareness is the antivirus. Behavior change is the firewall. Environment shift is the upgrade. Respect operates like software optimization, reducing bugs that cause emotional lag. Each corrected reflex increases processing speed for calm, precision, and self-trust. Silence will become your new tool, but silence must be structured. Structured silence is chosen, not sulking, not avoidance, not passive aggression. It is the deliberate pause before conclusion, the gap where truth settles. Speak after the pause, not before, and people will start measuring their tone. Your delayed responses change group dynamics quietly, like gravity adjusting tides. Manipulators hate uncertainty, but uncertainty is where your power hides. They cannot prepare for what you have not revealed. Mystery is strategic respect, because predictability invites intrusion. Be transparent with values, unpredictable with timing. This balance confuses control systems and builds trust in observers watching quietly. You may wonder why you attract manipulation in cycles. Patterns repeat until lessons convert into reflexes. Each manipulator is a mirror reflecting the boundary still under construction. Instead of hating them, treat them as data sets, not enemies. Extract the pattern, not the story. Update your boundary protocol. Evolution in psychology is repetition until resistance forms naturally. Natural resistance feels effortless, like blinking when light flashes suddenly. Respect works like that blink, automatic, silent, protective, and instinctive. Once learned, you no longer need speeches or defenses. Presence alone communicates that manipulation will die in still air. And when your stillness becomes unshakable, something subtle shifts. People start choosing their words carefully around you without knowing why. Your boundaries radiate through tone, posture, and timing alone. Likability still exists, but now it follows respect instead of begging for it. And yet one deeper layer remains hidden beneath all this calm strength. What if manipulation can return not through others, but through your own mind's reward system? Are you ready to expose how your brain itself becomes the quietest manipulator of all? Do you know your own mind can manipulate you better than anyone else? What if the enemy now wears your voice and rewards your obedience with calm? Can you face the part of you that still fears peace more than control? The inner manipulator is born from unfinished patterns of survival. It learned early that safety equals agreement, that calm follows compliance. These old codes still run inside you, invisible scripts guiding daily reactions. Each time you avoid conflict, you reward the script with short-term relief. Each relief deposits more authority into the hands of fear. Soon fear becomes your private trainer, teaching silence, teaching fake harmony. Your smile becomes armor, and your mind becomes a soft cage of approval hunger. To awaken respect, you must recognize this trainer and slowly fire it, not with violence but with observation, because observation is pure rebellion. Start by catching your self-talk when guilt whispers immediately after saying no. Listen to phrases like "you disappointed them," or "you could have done more." These are not thoughts, they are reflexes of an old program. The program runs on emotional residue from past rejections and validations. Each voice tone, each memory of frown or praise still lives inside your neurons. Your mind replays these to maintain identity coherence, not truth. It tells you who you must be to feel safe again, even if that role hurts now. Safety is not comfort. Safety is clarity under pressure. Respect grows from clarity, not from pretending you agree just to breathe easily. To break the loop, label guilt as signal, not verdict. The inner manipulator thrives on confusion between comfort and peace. Comfort keeps patterns alive. Peace ends them. When you feel sudden calm after pleasing someone, check if it feels clean or sticky. Clean calm feels light, ends thought, and frees breath. Sticky calm feels heavy, dependent, and requires confirmation. The sticky version is emotional sedation, not real harmony. Manipulation prefers sedation because sedated minds do not question routines. Peace, on the other hand, wakes awareness gently but firmly. Peace asks why. Comfort says do not ask. You might lose warmth. The voice of peace sounds small at first, but its silence has weight. Understand how the brain learns through repetition and reward. Each time you avoid tension, dopamine rewards the escape, not the truth. The inner manipulator uses this loop to train helpless compliance. You feel good for being polite, for avoiding offense, for maintaining image. But this false goodness creates fatigue, because suppressed truth drains faster than open conflict. Respect requires rewiring reward associations, finding satisfaction in delayed approval. Learn to feel pride in pause, not reaction. Pride in truth, not agreement. Replace the reward from pleasing others with the reward of internal alignment. The feeling may come later, but it lasts longer, because integrity ages slower than excitement. Long-term calm is the only dopamine your power needs. The inner manipulator also uses self-doubt as leash. It whispers that assertiveness equals arrogance, that silence equals weakness. It oscillates extremes so you never rest in balanced authority. This keeps you analyzing endlessly, trapped in intellectual fog. Manipulators outside you only mirror this internal debate, not create it. They sense when you hesitate and enter through that split in self-trust. To close the gap, you must normalize decisive thought without immediate proof. Certainty here does not mean correctness, it means ownership. Respect starts when you own decisions even before results appear. You cannot command external respect while begging internal permission. Your nervous system stores every moment you were punished for clarity. A raised voice, a sigh, a frown, each created a spike of cortisol. Those spikes became paired with self-expression, training avoidance through pain. So now silence feels safe and speech feels dangerous, even when truth is kind. This biological memory is not weakness, it is adaptive history. To reprogram, you must expose yourself to safe discomfort in small doses. Practice saying clear lines to people who can handle boundaries well. Build tolerance gradually, like physical training, not moral test. Each successful microassertion rewires cortisol response into stability. After repetition, your biology begins trusting your authority again. The inner manipulator also loves overthinking, disguised as preparation. You rehearse responses, anticipate judgment, create entire dialogues in your mind. This illusion of control is the most seductive trap of intelligence. You feel powerful planning reactions, but you are still reacting inside imagination. Respect cannot exist in rehearsed worlds. It exists only in real-time presence. The cure is simplicity, shorter sentences, fewer mental drafts, direct experience. Say what you mean once, then stay silent. Observe reality, answer you. This practice builds tolerance for unpredictability, the soil where confidence grows. Confidence is not knowing outcomes. It is surviving unknowns without panic. And unknowns become allies once control addiction dies quietly. You may find your mind arguing with itself when you stop pleasing. The argument sounds rational, but it is emotional sabotage wearing logic. It says, you could have handled that softer, or you may lose connection. Both lines aim to preserve old agreements that kept you dependent. Dependency on image maintenance is the root chain of soft manipulation. To cut it, you must let some people misunderstand you without correction. Misunderstanding is not failure. It is freedom disguised as discomfort. Clarity cannot exist while you edit every word to maintain others' perception. Respect blooms when perception management ends, and authenticity becomes non-negotiable. Truth costs followers but attracts allies, and allies build sustainable influence. Your inner manipulator may now switch strategy from guilt to perfectionism. It demands flawless boundaries, perfect calm, and absolute consistency. Then it punishes you for slipping into old habits. This is the perfection trap, where progress becomes self-attack. Remember, reprogramming takes cycles, not miracles. You will fall into old reactions, but each awareness shortens the recovery time. Measure recovery, not relapse. That metric turns growth from punishment into practice. Respect for self cannot coexist with internal cruelty disguised as discipline. Kind self-correction builds stronger boundaries than harsh internal policing. Sometimes the mind uses altruism to justify exhaustion. You hear the whisper, they need you. No one else will help. That whisper hides pride beneath kindness. Pride that says, only I can fix this. This is manipulation through inflated responsibility. You overextend, burn out, then resent quietly, completing the control circle. Respectful detachment means letting others face their own consequences. You do not rescue people from lessons they need to learn. The inner manipulator hates this because its identity thrives on being needed. But your worth is not measured by rescue count. It is measured by energy integrity. Protect energy and you protect purpose, even if guilt visits uninvited. The most invisible form of self-manipulation is nostalgia for suffering. The mind confuses familiarity with safety and repeats painful dynamics to feel real. Peace feels empty because chaos once defined existence. This is trauma repetition disguised as loyalty to identity. You keep replaying similar relationships, roles, and outcomes because they feel known. To break this, you must risk emotional boredom for a while. Boredom is detox, not stagnation, and beneath it lies new neural space. Once boredom passes, curiosity returns, and curiosity builds growth beyond survival. Manipulation dies when curiosity replaces fear as your decision compass, because curious minds do not cling, and clinging is manipulation's favorite food. You will notice a paradox as awareness grows. Your empathy deepens, yet your tolerance for emotional chaos decreases. This is balance, not contradiction. Respectful people feel deeply but act selectively. They serve values, not moods. Moods are weather, values are architecture. The inner manipulator worships weather, chasing storms to feel alive. You must build architecture, quiet and steady, immune to every gust of validation. Each time you choose structure over storm, your authority strengthens invisibly. Others feel it without knowing why, and manipulation attempts begin to decline. Energy recognizes order, and order radiates protection beyond language. Now the real challenge begins because peace itself will test you. When calm arrives, your body might seek chaos again out of habit. You might pick unnecessary fights or reopen old loops unconsciously. This is the addiction withdrawal of psychological drama. Do not fear it. Observe it like a storm from a shelter. Your awareness is that shelter, not your reactions. Let cravings pass without feeding them, and respect deepens naturally. Eventually, the calm that once scared you becomes home, not exile. And from that home, influence transforms into something clean and stable. But a final unseen manipulator still waits. Not in mind, not in emotion, but in perception itself. Are you ready to see how perception can be redesigned by those who understand its blind spots? Do you know your perception can be edited without touching your thoughts? What if your eyes see truth, but your mind translates it into a story they built? Can you sense when your reality was designed for you, not by you? Perception is the oldest battlefield of manipulation. It decides what you call true, what you call safe, and who you call right. Manipulators do not always lie directly. They rearrange your focus. They highlight fragments, blur the rest, and your brain fills gaps automatically. Your mind values coherence over accuracy, so it edits facts to protect comfort. This comfort becomes your cage, padded by partial truths. Respect begins where you start doubting the ease of your own narrative. When perception feels too tidy, assume someone benefits from your certainty. You think you see everything, but your attention can be guided like a light beam. Attention is selective, shaped by cues, tone, and repetition. The manipulator designs contrast, not content. They frame one choice as noble, the other as selfish. You feel moral pressure instead of mental clarity. They guide emotion first, then let logic follow like a trained servant. To break this control, reverse the sequence. Analyze before feeling, feel after understanding. Neutrality is not indifference. It is the mother of perceptual freedom. Emotions are valid signals, but they must not pilot your entire ship. The next layer is labeling. Labels simplify complexity, and simplification makes control efficient. When someone names you kind, difficult, or reliable, they limit your range. Soon you start performing inside the frame to preserve identity coherence. This is perception engineering through language. A word is never neutral. It carries an expectation, a demand, a hidden contract. Every manipulator crafts words like architects craft walls. Respect requires architectural awareness, noticing how words create invisible rooms. The cure is linguistic precision. Describe yourself through verbs, not nouns. Say I act kindly, not I am kind, because verbs allow evolution while nouns chain identity. Observe how framing changes your emotional weight on truth. A simple event told in different tones feels entirely new. They say you misunderstood instead of they misled. They say you overreacted instead of they provoked. Language rotates spotlight and you chase your own shadow trying to justify. Manipulators master this rotation, turning facts into fog through selective emphasis. To resist, repeat facts without adjectives. Remove drama, return to sequence. Sequence reveals manipulation because truth requires no decoration. When you narrate events cleanly, distortions lose hiding places. Clarity is your disinfectant, and manipulators avoid clean surfaces. Your senses can deceive you when emotion binds perception. When you crave validation, you interpret neutrality as rejection. When you expect attack, you hear threat inside calm voices. Bias builds its own evidence, and confirmation becomes comfort. Manipulators understand this and mirror your bias to gain trust. They reflect your worldview until you lower critical filters. Then they insert selective contradictions to control your cognitive dissonance. You defend them, not truth, because admitting distortion feels like self-betrayal. This defense is called loyalty trance, a psychological fog of emotional debt. Respect begins where loyalty serves values, not personalities. The brain also prioritizes recent emotions over logical history. A small kind act can erase weeks of control if it happens last. This is called recency bias, and manipulators exploit it elegantly. They cause tension, then repair it with affection, resetting your memory. You forget pattern and remember relief. This loop builds dependency through contrast, pain, and release. Respect requires long memory, not short emotion. Review behavior across time, not moment by moment. Patterns reveal truth, moments reveal mood. And moods are the weakest metric of integrity. There is also manipulation through social proof. When multiple people repeat the same judgment, it feels true. This is herd reinforcement, a primal shortcut of the brain. It evolved for survival, not wisdom. Manipulators form micro-alliances to amplify perception of consensus. You see agreement and mistake it for objectivity. Respect rejects borrowed eyes. It insists on personal verification. Truth does not change because a crowd repeats it louder. Your perception must pass through solitude at least once before it matures. Only solitude filters noise into independent clarity. They may use authority bias next. Titles, experience, charisma, or past success create invisible halos. You defer analysis because your mind equates confidence with accuracy. This bias makes subtle control look like mentorship again. Respect separates expertise from influence. Experts can teach, but only your reflection can decide what aligns. Learning is absorption. Manipulation is substitution. The first strengthens self, the second replaces self. Always ask, does this knowledge expand or shrink my decision capacity? Shrinking means control. Expansion means empowerment. You must understand also the mirror principle of perception. People project their mental state into what they perceive. A manipulator accuses you of intentions they secretly hold. Your confusion becomes proof of innocence, but also entry point for doubt. They know your need to appear fair and use it to redirect focus. Soon you start auditing your own motives instead of questioning theirs. This inversion drains time, energy, and self-trust. Respect answers. Inversion with return question. Why do you assume that? It returns the mirror, forcing them to face projection. Projection dies when met with steady mirrors instead of emotional reactions. Another layer is narrative collapse. When manipulators feel you drifting, they flood you with contradiction. Too many versions of truth overload working memory. You feel tired, uncertain, and ready to surrender just for mental peace. This is chaos seeding, a classic perception overload. They know fatigue lowers analysis, so they replace logic with emotion again. Respect thrives in simplicity. When details multiply endlessly, pause and summarize. Ask what outcome remains constant despite the noise. Who benefits if confusion continues? This question slices fog like blade through silk. Manipulators often exploit empathy through selective disclosure. They share half their pain, never the context of their choices. You see their tears and stop questioning patterns. This is emotional camouflage, designed to reset your perception of threat. Respect empathizes, but still measures behavior beyond confession. Pain does not erase accountability. Your compassion must never replace your discernment. Keep empathy wide, but boundaries tight. True strength listens with heart and decides with spine. Compassion without structure becomes the manipulator's easiest road in. You must also train your senses to notice subtle tension cues. When truth distorts, your body feels friction before your brain explains it. A small tightness in chest, a shallow breath, a flicker of doubt. These are micro-signals from intuition trying to pierce perception fog. Most people override them to avoid discomfort. You must reverse that habit. Make discomfort your data. Pause when the body tightens. Investigate cause. Often the truth hides behind the exact point of tension, and the manipulator hides behind your desire to dismiss intuition as paranoia. Respect treats doubt as signal, not flaw. Perception control also hides in time distortion. They rush you into decisions or stretch discussions endlessly. Speed creates mistakes. Delay creates fatigue. Both produce compliance. Respect uses tempo as defense, neither rushed nor dragged. Time discipline communicates internal authority. When others cannot dictate your pace, they cannot dictate your perception flow. Tempo mastery is invisible power, quiet but absolute. To them you seem calm. To yourself you feel free. Freedom begins with pacing, because speed determines who frames the moment. As you reclaim perception, reality feels strange at first. Colors dull, people sound different, silence grows heavier. This is withdrawal from illusion. Clarity is not always comforting. It is sometimes sterile and lonely. But loneliness of clarity is better than warmth of deceit. Soon perception stabilizes. Reality becomes crisp, edges honest again. Respect now becomes instinct, not strategy. And manipulation loses half its arsenal when fog disappears. Yet there remains one deeper domain of control, quieter than words and perception. Are you ready to see how emotional resonance itself becomes the final tool of unseen influence? Do you know feelings can be programmed just like thoughts? What if emotions were never proof of truth, but tools of control? Can you see how resonance can guide you without logic ever noticing? The final layer of manipulation lives in emotion itself. You feel connection, but sometimes it is crafted, not real. Manipulators match tone, rhythm, and breathing to sync your nervous system. This mimicry builds safety fast, then they attach influence to that safety. You start trusting the emotion, not the evidence. Respect requires feeling deeply, yet questioning the source of the feeling. If calm comes too soon or empathy feels too perfect, pause and scan intention. Resonance can also be weaponized through intensity. They overwhelm you with warmth or admiration to bypass analysis. Your body releases oxytocin and dopamine, dulling skepticism. This is emotional flooding, a fast shortcut to obedience. When you feel sudden closeness, slow everything down. True connection grows steady. Manipulation rushes to secure control. Respect breathes slower than seduction, slower than excitement, slower than fear. Guilt and gratitude are blended next. They do something kind, then subtly remind you. You feel thankful, then responsible, then obedient. Gratitude becomes leash, disguised as moral duty. Remember, genuine kindness expects no behavioral return. The moment help demands loyalty, kindness becomes control. Respect thanks once, then resets emotional balance without debt. Some use shared pain to create emotional contracts. They reveal vulnerability to earn protection, not understanding. You become caretaker, they become dependent, and your power dissolves gently. Empathy must have edges, or it turns into a trap. Comforting everyone means losing energy to comfort yourself. Respectful empathy listens, but does not merge. Learn to name emotions as they rise, not as they command. Naming reduces intensity. Intensity feeds manipulation. Say inside your mind, anger rising, sadness rising, calm returning. You reclaim authorship of feeling, the purest form of self-respect. Emotion stops being cage, becomes compass again. And that compass points toward integrity, not approval. This is how manipulation ends, not through war, but awareness. The more you watch, the less they can guide your inner weather. And when your emotional climate belongs to you, respect radiates effortlessly. Yet one last secret remains hidden under this stillness. What happens when power itself begins to notice your calm and tests it quietly? Are you ready to learn how calm authority invites both admiration and fear? Do you know calm power attracts challenge, like light attracts shadows? What if your quiet confidence now becomes the new battlefield of influence? Can you stay unshaken when people test the strength of your silence? Once you master emotion, new manipulators arrive with refined tactics. They do not provoke guilt or fear. They provoke respect itself. They test if your calm is posture or principle. They challenge limits subtly, waiting for reaction disguised as leadership. This is the paradox of strength. The stronger you seem, the more quietly you're tested. Respect draws both trust and envy, both admiration and resistance. Your task now is not defense, but calibration. When you embody steady calm, you must decide how to use it. Influence can heal or dominate, depending on your intent. If you use calm to impose silence, you become what you once resisted. If you use calm to create space for truth, you become anchor for others. The difference is motive. Control drains energy, stability creates it. Respect is not domination, it is disciplined openness. You listen without bending, speak without performing, decide without punishing. This balance is invisible mastery, the highest layer of dark psychology transformed into clarity. People around you will sense the change without words. Some will relax near you, others will feel exposed. This is the natural reaction to someone who cannot be emotionally hijacked. You must let both reactions coexist without explanation. Your neutrality now acts as mirror. It reflects the other person's intent instantly. Manipulators see their tricks fail and retreat quietly. Authentic people feel seen and stay. This selection happens automatically when your presence stops seeking control. The next test arrives through praise. They will call you wise, composed, unshakable, waiting for ego to open the gate. If you start believing the praise is identity, influence starts owning you again. Ego is the softest backdoor in psychological defense. Close it by remembering that calm is practice, not personality. You maintain it through awareness, not through titles or admiration. Humility here is not self-denial, it is self-security. You do not need to prove calm, because proof itself implies doubt. The final manipulator is power itself. It whispers that control equals safety, that silence equals superiority. But true mastery is not about ruling emotion, it is about guiding energy. The world begins to move slower around you when you stay centered. Words carry weight, pauses feel sacred, choices ripple wider. If you act from ego, The ripples distort and return as chaos. If you act from alignment, the ripples stabilize into trust. This is how respect evolves into influence that heals rather than dominates. Remember the path you walked, from seeking approval to reclaiming silence to owning perception. Each step stripped away layers of hidden programming. You learned that control begins with awareness, not aggression. You saw guilt lose power when faced with breathing. You watched manipulation dissolve in clear timing and honest limits. You trained emotion to obey clarity instead of fear. And now calm is not defense, it is communication. Your presence teaches boundaries without lectures. Your tone ends chaos without threats. People stop arguing and start listening because you embody stillness they crave. This is not magic, it is psychological gravity. Respect is the heaviest energy in the human field. Once grounded in it, you no longer chase approval, you attract alignment. You no longer explain boundaries, you become the example of them. This is the unseen power that all manipulators try to imitate but never sustain. When power no longer excites you, it finally belongs to you. Because true power is not about others following, it is about you never losing direction. Your emotional weather stays steady through noise, silence, praise, or rejection. Manipulation cannot exist in an ecosystem where self-respect controls the climate. And the final realization arrives quietly. You were never fighting others, only training your perception. Now you walk through conversations like a still lake among storms. No word pulls you, no guilt binds you, no flattery blinds you. Your calm becomes the boundary, your clarity becomes the weapon, your respect becomes the signal. And in that silence, even manipulators feel disarmed, unsure, sometimes even changed, because nothing is more unsettling to control than a person who cannot be moved by it. So ask yourself this final question before the silence closes. When your peace no longer depends on approval, who truly holds the power now?